Welcome to the Milk Market Tidbit for the May cold storage report that USDA released this afternoon. This is Dr. Lawrence Jones, and I'm recording this on Tuesday afternoon, June the 25th. Now, I'm going to admit that this took me a fair amount of time to get my head wrapped around to what this report actually meant and trying to decide exactly how bullish it was or what did it mean to the markets. All right, so the cold storage report is the second report. And then we're going to get the dairy products report later next week, which is going to tie everything together for May and give us a really good outlook of what happened. Let's start with exports. During the month of May, the global dairy trade was $1.93, and our national dairy sales report was about $1.87. So I would suggest that any exports that were happening in May were residual of the low prices in April, were kind of what I would call our traditional 6.5, 6.6% exports. So when we look at the change in cold storage for cheese, one of the things we have to first acknowledge is that the USDA significantly revised the April numbers. If you remember last month, we were up about 5 million pounds, which we kind of reconciled given some of the exports we had. Now, all of a sudden, they're saying that last month we actually dropped about 10.7 million. So when I started kind of pulling the data together as to what's typical for May, I was looking at what we would do for production and these sorts of things. And I came up with saying, okay, now that we know that we were down about 10.7 last month, we should be down about the same this month because we should pull about the same amount out. But it came in at only pulling out about 720,000. So my conclusion on this is that demand is down about 10 million pounds. Now, whether that's exports or whether that is domestic demand, I can't say at this point. And the reason I thought we're going to make just about as much cheese is the fact that when we look at the Federal Milk Marketing Order, we see that the Class 3 utilization on pounds was way up. And so we're expecting a lot more milk going into cheese than we'd had previously. So if we look at where the cheese stocks came in, it was just slightly below the seasonal adjusted number. So it was down, compared to where it would normally be. And we've been talking about this 3 to 5 year flattening out, and this looks not to be the case because we've got these 2 points back in 2022 and 2023 that don't fit this very well. And actually, I think this is probably the better fit for this. We've really significantly brought the cold storage down. And again, that's probably good because back in here, we're 1.5, 1.6 billion pounds, and that's an awful lot to carry. If we look at the American stocks, it came in just below the seasonal adjusted level also. And if we look back at that flat line, again, we've got these 2 outliers. And so I think that's probably a better scenario. So we have significantly reduced the amount of American cheese in cold stocks. Other cheeses came in right on top of the seasonal adjusted level. And again, if we look at this flattening out for the last 5 years, these 2 are still a little bit high. So it looks like we've kind of reduced all of the cheese stocks just a little bit. We're going to have to look at the dairy products report to know if we made as much cheese as we thought we made. All right, so now we turn to butter. Right now we have it coming in about 25 million pounds up, but was only about 18 million given where we think butter production is going to be. So again, the only logical conclusion is that demand was up about 7 million pounds for butter. And if we look at the butter stocks, they were just down a little bit from the seasonal adjusted level, right on trend line. And again, look pretty much normal, but probably demand of butter was up just a little bit. So we got the cold storage report today. We're going to get the dairy products report next Wednesday, which will help pull everything together. We'll get the third national dairy sales report for June and the egg prices on Friday. All right, I'll get you another report this next week when we get the dairy products report.